What is going on YouTube? This is Apex 27 and today I'm bringing a bit of a different video. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on Nightreign, and then we're going to go into a top 10 list after I'm done talking about my thoughts that are a list of things that I want in the game that would make it basically perfect if all 10 of them got added. Even if only a couple of them got added, it would be pretty perfect for me otherwise, because I couldn't even, I had a hard time thinking of 10 things actually. The last couple, like 2 or 3 things were stretches, honestly, but I do still want them in the game, so there's that. So to get into the video, first of all, the background footage is me running with 2 randoms, and we end up having a really good go at Sentient Pest, and that part of the video probably won't have commentary over it. So if you just want to see a really good attempt with randoms at Sentient Pest, Everdark Sovereign version, then that will be there at the end of the video. But for now, we're going to have 2 different timestamps in the bio for the Everdark fight and for the top 10 list. But for now, let's get into my thoughts about Nightreign and basically a soft review of the game. So to get into it, I'm a really big fan of Nightreign. I don't think it's going to win Game of the Year, but I really do like all of the Night Lords. I originally thought I didn't like Sentient Pest or Augur very much, but I got the best of Augur, and I don't think he's that bad anymore, or they are that bad. And Sentient Pest, while the base fight isn't that great, it's Everdark Sovereign version is way better and is probably my favorite aesthetic and soundtrack in the game. I really like Animus as a concept, and they have inspired me to make better and cooler, more interesting boss fights in my TTRPG campaigns that I run, like Dungeons & Dragons and Daggerheart. I'm very inspired by the Everdark versions in general of each boss. I really liked all 3 of them. Sadly, it seems like we are going to get a re-release of those bosses before we get new ones, new Everdark Sovereign versions, but that's okay. I really liked them all anyway, so fighting them again won't be so bad. But yeah, the Everdark bosses and the regular bosses, including the night aspect, everything was so good. They really knocked out of the park with these bosses. When it comes to the Nightfarers, I have not played the Raider, Duchess, Recluse, or the Revenant, because those were the last 4 that appealed to me the most. The Executor, the Wilder, the Guardian, and the Iron Eye were the ones that really appealed to me, and because of that, I have played them all extensively, and have even soloed bosses with Iron Eye and Wilder. So I really enjoyed all of them. I love the Steel Guard on the Guardian. I love the Mark on the Iron Eye. I'm a really big fan of traveling across the map and getting closer to enemies and following up with a great sword fire attack with the Wilder. When I'm not playing Wilder, I miss the grappling hook. When I'm not playing Iron Eye, I miss being able to dodge things with the Mark or do more damage to enemies with the Mark. When I really like Executor's deflecting. I'm a really big fan of applying status effects with Executor getting Rivers of Blood or one of the other status effect katanas that I can get. And when I'm not playing as Executor or Guardian, I miss having a guarding ability that lets me deflect. When I'm not Guardian, I miss being able to res my teammates reliably. Like they're all so unique and interesting, and all have things that I really like about them. And I'm sure when I finally get to the Revenant, to the Recluse, Duchess, or the Raider, I will enjoy them too, but they have not been as enticing for me to play so far, so I have not touched them. However, I have been gearing up to play the Raider soon, so, and then probably Duchess after. With the relics, I'm a really big fan of the relics. They're reminiscent of blood gems from Bloodborne to me, and I was a really big fan of blood gems. I loved blood gems. These relics are a less powerful, more balanced version of blood gems. They have a wider variety of effects that can be added to them. My one gripe with them is that they are seemingly color-coded for no reason other than to artificially elongate playtime. by making it harder for you to get the perfect relic set up. It really bothers me that there's no red chalice, like a chalice with all red slots for relics, like there is already for the blue, yellow, and green relics. That doesn't make any sense to me. I really hope they release that with some DLC, or in the future with the Everdark fights, something like that. We need that red chalice. And I wish there were more chalices that came with white slots that let you put any relic in that slot, any color relic, and just more chalices in general. A full white slot relic chalice would be great, so you could just put any relic in those slots. Would be amazing. But overall, I still really like the relic system. It's fun to win them at the end of a match or at the end of a session. It's fun to buy them in the shop, the random one that you buy 10 at a time. That's really fun. I love saving up to 100k merc and just going on a spree. Very fun. I really like Nightreign. Like I said, for me, it's probably going to end up being Game of the Year, but overall, I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year for everybody, or it's not going to win the award for Game of the Year. However, it definitely should win some awards. Really well done all around, though, on that. Oh, and, even though there's only one map right now, I think there's a good amount of variety on the map. It doesn't ever get that stale to me. I think, if anything, if they don't start releasing new Everdark bosses again soon, or a new Night Lord entirely, or more than one new Night Lord entirely, then the Night Lords will get stale. But the trekking on the map, especially with the shifting Earth events, is always fun for me. All right, so without further ado, I think that's all my thoughts on the Nightreign that weren't going to also be talked about in this top 10 list. So I think we're going to get into the top 10 list, which will reveal more of my negative thoughts about the game. But adding all of these things would be what makes the game perfect for me, or most of these things would basically be a perfect game for me. I'll say right now, an honorary 11th spot on this list that I think should be mentioned is that we just recently got a post that said that the Night Lord Everdark Sovereign versions are going to be released in pairs, which means I think you're going to be able to launch for both of them separately, but it reads in a way where you can misunderstand it as they are releasing the fights as a pair where you fight both Night Lords together, which would be absolutely chaotic and almost impossible, probably, I feel like. But I do think as an 11th thing for this list, an honorary spot on this list that, is more than 10, I think pair Everdark Sovereign fights would actually be really cool, especially if they take time to kind of tweak the fights to make them not so crazy as a duo. Pair Everdark Sovereigns would be crazy and fun and a really interesting challenge. Here we go with number 10, though, actual number 10. Shadow of the Erd Tree bosses and items would be really good to have in this game. We only have Yonsei, the Yoda-esque demi-human with the lightsaber katana, and the Hippo, I believe, as DLC content, Shadow of the Erd Tree content that is in Nightreign. Other than that, there are no weapons, armor sets, or, I guess it would be skins that are like armor sets, or bosses in the game that are from the DLC, other than those two. So, no Mesmer, no Rot Insect Woman boss, I can't remember her name right now, no Rolana Dancing Beast, I forget what it's called as well as just different enemies like the Black Knights, or the warriors that wore the headpiece of the Dancing Lion. I cannot remember their names. I'm sorry, I'm whiffing all these names. But definitely more of that would be great. Number 9, more shifting Earths. I think we're likely to get more shifting Earths, but I think if they don't add more shifting Earth events eventually as DLC, that would be a missed opportunity. I'm not entirely sure what they would do with that. They could maybe do another Nox event, I'm not really sure exactly what they would do with that, but they should do something. uh, 8, I think an Everdark Expedition could be great with harder night bosses. So, maybe bring in a Melania Knight 2 or a Radon Knight 2. Maybe have Malekith show up at Night 2. That type of stuff. Make the Night 2 bosses Night 1 bosses and add more Night 1 bosses. I think these could all be very great ideas for Everdark Expeditions. And then obviously like make all the enemies similar to the Cataclysm level enemies. I think that would be a good idea. Number 7 is more legacy enemies. So, add Dark Wraiths from Dark Souls, add Deacons of the Deep, add Karthus skeletons from Dark Souls 3, so on and so forth. I think we need more base expedition enemies from other games, because right now I'm pretty sure all of the enemies in the expedition, outside of the bosses like Nameless King and stuff, all of those enemies are from Elden Ring. We don't have any Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, or Dark Souls 3 base expedition enemies. So that would be really nice. Number 6 is a Reaper / Scythe Nightfarer. I know they said they're bringing in more Nightfarers. A scythe wielding Nightfarer would be great, especially because I get a lot of scythe centric relic abilities as well as curved sword. I don't know if anyone else is getting that. I also have recently been getting straight sword and spears, but so that implies to me that they could be making one that has a scythe, and I think that'd be great. I would love to run around as a scythe wielding / Reaper wielding character in Nightreign. Number 5, new maps. A lot of people really wanted that. That's an obvious one that belongs on this list. Liurnia style, Lanedale style maps, maybe even a Farum Azula. That could be one of the Shifting Earth events, by the way. Have a Farum Azula style Shifting Earth. Totally could actually do that. That's a retcon on my number 9 right there. So definitely more maps other than the Limb Veiled, Limgrave style map that we have right now. Number 4, more legacy skins. So obviously we're going to get more skins, I feel like. I think we already have an Artorias on the Wilder. They could do Kiaran on Duchess. They could do Go for the Raider, Hawkeye Go. And while right now there's no spear wielder, the Guardian could have a Ornstein skin because he wields, a thrusting weapon. Or you could give it to Executor, even though he wields a katana. Or maybe there will be a spear-wielding DLC character that Ornstein can be, given that skin to that character. But yeah, we could even do Smo. Smo could go to the Raider. There's a bunch of different options, and I just think that they will be missing out if they don't add these types of options, especially, I think, the Kiaran skin on Duchess. I think it'd be fun as hell to run around as Artorias and Kiaran. 4 Knights of Gwyn, Number 3, more legacy weapons and spells. I saw a post the other day about how Frida's Scythe from Dark Souls 3's DLC could be in the game, or that someone wanted it in the game, and I can't remember what the other one was, but Gale's Great Sword, the Ring City Knights weapons, all kinds of different weapons, the Dark Drift Katana, the Chaos Blade, any of that stuff would be great to have in the game. And as far as I'm concerned, we don't have any weapons from other games or spells. So, Chaos Bed Vestiges, Heavy Soul Arrow. I know that some of the spells in the game already do things that those do, but I think it would just be fun to have those as aesthetics and stuff. And there's definitely ones that exist that haven't carried over. I don't really have any on top of my head that I can think of, but I am pretty sure there's got to be a couple spells that didn't carry over into Elden Ring as a version of a spell. and definitely weapons. There are weapons like the Abyss Watcher Greatsword that did not carry over, or Onigiri Ubadachi, the katana pair from Dark Souls 3. Number 2, more legacy bosses. So that means, more bosses like Nameless King and the Dancer, more bosses like the Centipede Demon and Gaping Dragon. I would love to see the Taurus Demon or the Asylum Demon. We've already got Erdtree Spirits or whatever they're called. So, that's a reskinned Asylum Demon. We could get some mini boss field bosses like Capra Demon. Why not put Aldrich or the Abyss Watchers in the game? I mean, imagine an Abyss Watchers Knight 2, or Lothric and Lorien, etc., etc. Lots of good options. I'm sure some of the Dark Souls 2 fights would be great too, but maybe Aldia, Aldia would be fucking dope. Or that dragon, I don't remember their name, the poison dragon from Dark Souls 2 DLC. Or the knights in the Chaos Flame, the Ivory Knights, I don't know, I forget what they're called, but the knights from the DLC that you fight a bunch of them and you fight the king, Ivory King, whatever, you know what I'm talking about, Dark Souls 2 fans. Anyway, finally though, number 1, most important thing that I think would make this game absolutely just so perfect for me, would make the game have more infinite replay value than ever, would be a Spears of the Church boss fight arena. So you queue up, you get maybe random relics that are targeted toward whatever you are. So maybe you're a executor and you get relics to pick from, like maybe like 10 of them or 12 of them or something, before you launch, and that's what you have, or you launch and then that's what you have, and as you're loading up or whatever, and then you spawn in and it's 3 Nightfarers versus you, and it's a PvP thing. Maybe you get a little bit of help from Spears of the Church enemies. I think there used to be Painting Guardians that would spawn for you to help you out in the fight. That would be cool, to make it a little more even and a little more fair. And the big thing is that in regular PvP games, or regular games with PvP in the Souls series, people have been, kind of mad that invaders can invade. They want invaders gone because it's usually involuntary PvP, except in Elden Ring. Elden Ring made it that you basically have to volunteer in order to get invaded. But, previously people would be mad about it. In Nightreign, if you go to the Spear of the Church arena, you are opting into PvP, so you can't be mad that you got a PvP fight because you chose that. You know what I mean? And maybe it would guarantee a legendary every time for all 3 participants. Definitely would make my year, I think, to be able to have PvP in Nightreign. I've always wanted a Spears of the Church. I have previous videos from before Nightreign came out talking about, that PvP could be done like that if they wanted to introduce PvP in the Nightreign. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Nightreign. That's my top 10 most wanted things in Nightreign. Once again, like an honorable mention that I mentioned earlier would be a all red relic chalice and all white slot relic chalice, so you can just put any relic in any slot. That'd be great. Definitely more Nightfarers, more skins for those Nightfarers. I really like the idea of a Farer Missoula shifting earth. Yeah, pair Everdark fights. But yeah, like I said, in the description is the link for the fight as well. You might have already clicked it to get to this top 10 list that I made. But other than that, I have nothing else to say for this video. We're done with the content as far as the commentary goes. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Stay tuned for more Nightreign content. Also, I may be playing Bloodborne soon and getting clips for that. So if you like Bloodborne, there might be a Bloodborne video coming out soon. And also, I'm going to be playing Lies of P Overture probably while we're waiting for new Night Lords to come out, new Everdark Sovereign Night Lords to come out. So, you know, stay tuned for Lies of P streams. Probably no Lies of P videos. I don't know. It depends. Outside of that, I do art commissions for there's a little bit of a cartoony style. I'll say like it's a little bit close to One Piece's style, but it's definitely my own art style. If you have like a TTRPG character, it's $20 for a portrait, and it's, you know, a little bit higher up to 50 for more than a portrait. But it probably won't go over $100. I don't think I, you know, have enough credit to be charging over $100 right now. Maybe later, after I've established myself a little bit more as an artist. So consider that. And also, just in general, I stream almost every weekday right now. I've been not streaming as much on the weekends, but you can catch me usually at 10:30 or 12:30, depending on what's happening during the day, Central Standard Time in America. And I usually stream for about 4 hours, so like 4 to 5 sessions of Nightreign, or just 4 hours worth of whatever content I'm putting out for the day. I'd love to see you there. Consider liking and subscribing. It would really help out the channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. I'll be able to apply to be a partner after that, and that'd be really nice if I could do that pretty soon. Other than that, got nothing else to say. Enjoy the rest of the content. Peace out for now.